Welcome to Machine Shop Tech Talk. Today we're talking collaboration, right? The future of manufacturing is going to be here through collaboration and working together. I've got my buddy Tim Drinkwater on. We're going to dig into this today. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, good morning, Arthur. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man. You know, it was funny. We met at IMTS and we actually met, what, was it at the Reggie's night we met first? We bumped into each other?
Right, well, that's when we met in person. We actually started with our conversation on LinkedIn. You were asking me a little bit about IMTS and what this Reggie's place was about, and then sure enough, we got to meet in person. Kind of that multi-format thing, right?
And then we met the next day when you won that awesome machine. All of this, for everyone watching, this is about collaboration. Tim and I started networking online first. Then we met up at a trade show. Another great time to network with people in the community. And then, I mean, Kennametal was doing a crazy giveaway of that DN machine, which obviously is another great way to use the power of community. So when we're talking collaboration, I mean, we want more manufacturing here, Tim, right?
Right.
So that's the goal. But there's one big elephant in the room when we talk about working with other people.
Boy, I think there's more than one elephant, but let's see if I can take
one of them?
One of the elephant? People's own anxieties and fears.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one. When we look at that, I mean, because you talk about working with someone, we were talking earlier about the race to the bottom that happened a few years ago. What's the first concern? I mean, in manufacturing, you see the brick building from the outside, someone put it the other day, and you don't know what's going on inside. Obviously, we don't want to race to the bottom. We want to bring more manufacturing here. We want to attract the youth. So what are some of the ways?
I mean, when it comes to bringing youth into it, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, but it's also, you got to remember, this is the long-term play, right? It took us 20, 30 years to get to a point where we have such a lack of skilled machinists out there. And you can talk about the other trades too, of course, but machining is kind of my thing.
Me too.
Yeah. It's going to take 20, 30 years to rebuild that workforce. It's just, let's just admit that and then work at it. We reached out to the tech school, which then evolved into a lot of things. We have a local tech school. That then evolved into finding out that there's a local program called Craftsman with Character that's like, the founder of it's literally 20 minutes from my shop. The town is 1/10 the size of the town I live in. That's where it happened, right? But I didn't really learn about it until, well, I take that back. I am misspeaking. So I learned a lot more about it through the tech school.
Yeah.
However, what I learned about it is that my nephew was enrolled in the program through the local high school. So he did it last year, and now I am helping with the Craftsman with Character program this year. That's one thing you can work at.
Yeah. Well, and really quick for the people listening out there, the Craftsman with Character program, it's not restricted to a certain state. They just partnered and launched a nonprofit. It's now nationwide. So you can connect with them for free and they will give you all kinds of resources if you like what Tim was talking about. They have a massive program to roll out. They're up to 30 schools this year. They had 10 last year and they're just going to keep ramping up.
Yeah, that school count, I think it's actually over 40 already for this year that they've had.
Oh, geez, they got another 10 since I met with them.
It's one of those things that the metric is moving so quickly that they don't even have all of the information in their presentations and things. It's pretty wild. But beyond the Craftsman with Character, the other thing that we're going to be doing is participating in the advisory board for our local tech school. That came up actually through a state line manufacturing alliance in our area because we're right on the border with Illinois. So that's an organization that's actually run by the tech school trying to connect manufacturers. So we've joined that. There's a small fee associated with that, but we've joined that and participating in the meetings. And we're really the smallest business probably that's participating in this program. But through that, making more connections, been invited to join that advisory committee for their CNC program at the tech school. So I guess the bottom of it is you just got to take the time to get out there. You can't make the time. No one can make time, but you got to take it from somewhere, put in some effort there.
I like what you're saying there too, though, because you're right. It's not like we can fabricate time. If we could make time, that would be great, but it's not a thing, right? We can make a lot of things. We can make, as machinists, we could make really anything in the world. Now, sometimes it might not be as efficient as some other processes, but we could make pretty much anything. But time is one thing we can't, so you've got to take it from somewhere. For me, outside of manufacturing on the health journey, I took it from my TV time. I was like, man, if I got time to watch this much TV every day, I can take some of that time and put it into health and wellness. And same with the manufacturing side. We can take it from other areas, and invest it, So what are some places you've taken time from to invest into all the extra outreach you're doing?
Boy, so some of the place I've taken some time from is, we've gone a little bit back and forth here. I'm a bit of an IT geek in my upbringing,
Yeah.
maybe a little less so these days, but I really enjoyed the implementation process with our ERP system, but it took a lot of hours. I love Odoo. It's a great system, but I probably have 1,000 hours over the course of 3 years into that implementation. And a lot of that's because I'm a novice at it. I enjoy it. It's something I do enjoy.
Yeah.
I've had to step back away from doing that, and we're looking at some options for some paid consulting. And I actually have a member on my team that's got a lot of interest in it, so kind of slow handing off some of the smaller stuff to him to see how that goes. So that's kind of the big spot probably where we pulled some stuff from.
And I like that you're not just giving up on things. You're finding things that you're currently doing that are currently tying up your time, and you're finding either people on your team or people outside that you're choosing to trust. And I don't want us to, because we've kind of stepped away from the fear and anxiety thing, but you've mentioned a lot of things where you're out there taking the actions, right? And I don't want to go into psychology in this. I mean, we're machinists. How much do we really know? A lot of the common advice out there across a couple hundred books I've read is always just take the next action. Take the next step. So here you are, you're reaching out, you were networking. I mean, it was within family with your nephew. That's how you started with the Craftsman with Character and all of that. It's just finding the next action you can take and taking it. Even if it's a small little step. I mean, if everyone out there took incremental little movements forward, they'd be miles ahead, but they have to start taking a different action today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really easy to get overwhelmed by the big picture sometimes. Myself included, man. I am not immune to that by any stretch.
Me either.
It sounds like a terrible Office Space joke, man, but sometimes Mondays are real tough.
Yeah, especially if you've got something big going on that week and then you start anticipating the future and what's that going to look like. So we've talked about trade shows a little bit, the fact that we met at IMTS anyway. We talked about getting involved in your community. For anyone listening, I mean, it doesn't have to be Wisconsin, Illinois area. You can find local areas. I've got an episode coming out with a man named Brandon Ferris, who's in Loudoun County. We've got an episode talking about different ways you can get involved in different areas in your community. So there are actions you can take wherever you're living. Don't think, oh, my area doesn't have them. Chances are they do. They're just not great at marketing what's available. Even in my local city, I went out to an event and I was like, oh, wow, there's a lot of funding. I thought we weren't doing anything for manufacturing, and I was blown away. I went to an economical development meeting and they were like, oh, here's this program, here's that program. The trouble is we can't get people aware of them. So chances are it's the same in your area. There are programs available and they're just terrible at marketing them.
Yes, I fully agree with that. Manufacturing in general tends to be very slow to adopt to those types of things, marketing technology and things. I mean, you and I both are, LinkedIn users and all that, and there's manufacturers out there that don't even have websites, still, which is kind of hard to fathom, but it's a thing. But yeah, even the SMA that we joined, they don't have a dedicated website. There's no application form. You just had to hear about it and talk to the right person. Yeah.
But that's further evidence for the people listening. Like, there are programs out there, you just got to find them. And it starts with the networking. Talk to other people. See what they're like. You don't have to trust them right away, but if you can have a conversation, if you can bring yourself to start that conversation, it'll make a difference.
Right.
That blows me away, though. Like, I know you're a self-professed IT geek. I am too, right? Like, I know we've geeked out a little bit about the older 386s and Commodore and all the other old junk. But so it's harder for me when companies, especially like 20 years ago, I had a hard time if a company didn't have a website when I tried to look them up. And we're in 2024 now. The audience listening to this, I mean, we're on YouTube, so they're going to have computers. They're probably going to have websites, I would imagine. It's probably not going to reach the people that need that wake-up call. But yeah, there's still shops up here. I'm like, I go by and I'm like, I can't find them on Google. I can't find them any kind of web presence. I might find one of the business directories might make mention of them. Otherwise, they seemingly don't exist.
Right. It's hard to wrap your head around. I've posted a couple of times. I'm still looking for a copy of the Thomas Register because I just love that old. That's nostalgic for me. They stopped printing that in 2006 because the revenue stream wasn't there for advertising because everyone had websites. So nearly 20 years later, there's still manufacturers that don't have websites. And the Thomas Register figured this out back then. I wonder if they could have kept it going, to be honest.
Maybe, but they would have had to be able to reach these places that don't invest anything. But let's not rag on them too hard. I mean, they're not going to be in the audience. Everyone listening here, you should have a website. I mean, many of the people listening might even have their own personal websites. Like when I was working at a distributor, I started mine because I was like, I don't know, man, if I'm out there trying to meet people, I need to be able to be found. We talked about fear and anxiety when it comes up to having the conversation. Are there any tips you have for people out there? Maybe they either can't focus on what they need to do for their business. Like you seem to be delegating well. What strategies as your shop owner would you have, or tips?
Oh boy, I am not the most organized. I very much depend upon my team. And in this case, the kind soul that helps me stay very focused is my wife, Amanda. Her and I are daily run the business down here. So I couldn't ask for a better business partner in that regard. Well, all regards, she's my wife, right?
Yeah, of course.
But we work together quite well. She's helped me to see that about the organizational side of things. She's very patient with me, so that's good. I tend to have the big out there type dreamer mentality, and she helps me draw that back into that next step, that you talked about earlier, is what's that next step. Another big thing that's been great for us is there's another nonprofit organization called score.org is their website. I don't think it goes outside the US. I believe it's largely funded by the federal government, I think. I don't know entirely, but they assigned us a couple of mentors that are volunteers. They're not paid. Yeah, retired executives from various businesses. In our case, we were connected with two that came out of the manufacturing arena. And again, they're retired, volunteering their time, and it's been great for us. We're a very small business, and our two mentors come from much, much larger, publicly traded type companies. They were able to work with us and really give us some insights that help us stay focused.
Anyone listening, if you don't have mentors, especially as a business owner, actually, I'm looking for my next mentor, but that's a side point. The power of mentorship is so beautiful. I mean, there's this outside person that's already done the things or worked through the things that are there for you, and they can have that unbiased position, like that third party perspective. The fact that it's a government funded institution too, so you're not paying out of pocket for the mentorship is absolutely fantastic, man. How did you guys come across the score.org? Like, how did you even stumble on that?
I've known about it for years, but I never took that next step to make something happen. I believe we didn't connect with them until, somewhere during those earlier COVID years. They existed long before that, but it was much more of a more traditional type of mentorship program where they were meeting in person and phone calls. I think we all saw it. Zoom changed the world. They've really embraced that technology, so I think that's given them a much more substantial reach. So we can do video conferencing calls. We typically do them on Fridays with our
nice.
two mentors. But they've been around for a long, long time. It just took me a while to take that first step.
But you pushed through the fear, whatever was there for you. I mean, obviously the accessibility that changed through the COVID years is amazing, because now you don't have to physically drive somewhere, so you don't have the commute there and back and all the other logistics. So it's nice that you can do it right from your computer, likely right in the shop if you wanted to, because you've got your really nice setup now so that you've been doing all your lives. That's really cool though, man. So anyone out there listening, I mean, especially if you're US based, check this out, because I'm going to go check it out. I'll find out if it's Canadian allowed or not. That sounds like such a fantastic program to empower businesses, right? The mission we're all on is more manufacturing for North America, right? That's my personal mission. I know you and I connected over that. Letting fear stop you is not going to further that, right? The pains that come when you let fear and stuff get in your way from growing your business, I mean, you start to see really any issue in your business you could kind of chalk up to fear of something, I would say. Would you agree with that, Tim?
Yeah, I think a lot of it could be. There's some outside things that, I had an instance where there was I was a little too fearless and trusted the wrong group. Yeah, so that can happen. But I've got a saying I use around the shop a lot: education's expensive. And sometimes you do the expensive part first. So make sure you do the learning part next. I paid for a doctoral degree in that one. I learned a lot. But if you don't take those type of risks and work with the fear element of it, what do they say? There's probably 100 catchphrases out there like that. But rewards favor the fearless or something to that effect.
Yeah, nothing ventured, nothing gained. There's all kinds of
Yeah.
idioms around it. Pick your favorite, put it on your mirror. I love what you said there, though, Tim, because I mean, yeah, obviously whoever it was that you chose to trust, I mean, respect you for not throwing them under the bus. Whoever you chose to trust, yeah, it didn't work out and you learned not to trust them. You're also still out here furthering your business and taking those steps, and you're not letting the fear stop you. It's not like you tried something and you got your hand slapped and now you're no longer going to try anything and your business is just going to decline. No. You're like, okay, that didn't work. Shouldn't trust them. Maybe you learned a couple more things to ask or a couple more things to avoid it in the future, trusting the wrong people. But you're still out here and you're still forwarding your business and taking the steps. I mean, the fact that you get to work with your wife every day, that's what I'm working towards right now with my business. So I love that. So you're in a way a mentor to me that you're already able to do that. We're waiting to hit a certain amount in the bank before we transfer her over because we're going to lose her full-time income when she comes to work for me. So that's awesome too. I mean, there's a lot of people out there like, man, work with your spouse. I'm lit up by it. I mean, you look lit up by it. I know I've chatted with Amanda, like just on LinkedIn through comments a couple times. She seems like a lovely lady.
Oh, she's amazing, and I need her. That's what it is in all ways.
And she balances you out, like you were talking about, right? Like you're that big dreamer, visionary, that's more where I fall. Organization is also my weak point, so maybe I won't ask you for organization tips. I'll have to find someone for that. But
yeah, no. My desk is an amazing disaster.
Oh, good. Well, you can't see mine and I can't see yours. So everybody out there is blithely unaware. Blithely? I don't know if that's the right word. So, Tim, before we wrap up the episode, is there anything else you wanted to share with the people out there listening in the spirits of collaboration or through breaking through fear, anxiety, anything like that?
Being a machinist in the way I am, sales has always been a real hard thing for me, right? That getting out there and doing it. It's one of the ones that the sales is your thing. It doesn't matter if it's sales really, because you're still going to be selling, trying to grow the industry or reach candidates or all those other things. In the end, it's about people, so try to make it about people in the beginning. It can be real hard because it's fun to play with our machines. It's fun to do the CAD CAM stuff and tooling and everything else, but somebody needs to want the part at some point. That's the thing I'd put out there is start with people, because eventually it ends with people too.
I love that we're finishing there. It is really about the people. I actually got into machining because I was like, good, I don't have to deal with people. And it's funny how it comes full circle. In the beginning, I really believed that, but much like yourself, it's like, look, if you just put a people first, I mean, you're a human being over there chatting with me, another human being, and the people that need your products, that need your services, they're all just doing their best to live a life that they love. Hopefully that's their goal. So I love that. We'll finish on that. Thank you so much, Tim, for being here with me today.
My pleasure.
And to everyone out there, if you made it this far, I know you love us, so please drop a like, a comment, subscribe, whatever you can do to support the channel so that we can reach more people. We're on a mission to bring more manufacturing to North America because we're crazy like that, and I love the life that manufacturing has given me. For all my machinist friends out there, keep your spindles turning and earning.